I know it's about dinner time, so I'm gonna just say this. What is on your mind for dinner tonight? Imagine a nice juicy steak, or if you're a vegetarian, you could have a nice good old salad, you know? It's not bad. My speech is about agriculture, and you know, without agriculture, you wouldn't be able to have a lot of things. Actually, you wouldn't be able to eat about anything really. Agriculture has been around and for such a long time, and that question about what is on your mind for tonight for dinner has been on everybody's mind since, well, the beginning of human race. So I'd like to actually get into, there's actually three major topics without agriculture that would never be around. I would like to take you on a journey, on an informative journey to reveal three basic topics about agriculture. One is cost of the industry, two, availability of water, and three, land. Now into cost, I'm actually going to turn this around because I made it in like 5 seconds, but anyway, in cost, there's a lot of money there's a lot of money with tractors, loaders, sprayers. These are sprayers right here. If you minus the tractor, that's technically what a sprinkler would look like. It would spread all around the land and stuff like that. But because of the cost, it costs so much money. One of these by itself costs around $320,000 brand new. Without that, it would be almost impossible nowadays with the size of crop. There's no way in the world you'd be able to pay for one. So a lot of what people do is they pay a 50-50. So let's say me and Bobby are going to be paying, he's going to pay half, I'm going to pay half. He's going to be owning it halfway than I am too. It's more effective that way. It's more effective because he gets to use it, and it's more of a motivational thing. I'm like, hey man, you know, I own it 50-50, he owns it 50-50. Hey, come on, I'm gonna try to help you out, you help me out, you know. From a economist, from Iowa State University states case studies of farmers sharing or owning with other farmers. Also to add, getting the help was more valuable to some farmers than the cost savings resulting from sharing the machinery, says Raylene Nickel from the Successful Farming magazine. Also in cost doesn't also only mean money. With the cost of water, which is going to be my next one, is because of the cost of water. Water, as soon as you put it onto soil that's been exactly what he's doing here is putting pesticides onto the ground. What will happen is as soon as you put the water on it, it will actually get into our water systems, kind of like Christopher talked about earlier. But with the water, it actually gets in and it starts killing all the fish, kind of like the Salton Sea. Which brings me actually to my next one. Agriculture is the world's single largest freshwater resource that has good recycling. It has a really good recycling system. Says Julie Casper from the book, "The Food We Grow and Animals We Raise." The U.S. uses about 80% of water sourcing. Only 90% is from Western states. That's a lot of water in just the states from Montana all the way down to Texas to the left. If you were to look at it, I mean that's quite a bit. But from the U.S., from the 80%, 90% is from the USDA. They're a good one to check out because they know really what they're talking about. Another one, irrigated agriculture, and they contribute 40% of flood, and that's where a lot of they do this on a lot of pastures. They fill the land up with water, and then it just sits there after quite a few hours, quite a few days. It grows on itself. 60% is a lot from rain, so there's more rain than anything. Another one, my father he studied viticulture, Viticulture is a study of vineyards. They do a lot of that in Healdsburg. Robert Smith Viticulture states, water comes from rivers, subterranean waterways, and wells. They do a lot of pumping that way. It's actually more efficient that way, but if you have a river next door, it'd be a lot easier to pump, get it from a river than anything else. Going back to Julie Casper's book, Agriculture, which brings us actually into the wind, or brings us into the land. Windbreaks, they're separations. They kind of like if you were to go onto the freeway and they have the trees that separate the train from the cars on the freeway, which are now cutting down. But anyway, that's a windbreak, something that's actually saving wind erosions and and it also actually clears the pesticides and clears the pesticides from crops. It's the same exact way. Without water, you wouldn't be able to have that. Another one, Ed Pagan, which somebody I work for once in a while. I'm actually gonna have to do that too. He's a farm manager and an agriculture teacher. He's also he grows produce. He's now doing dates. It costs a lot of money. It costs like it's like $1,000 just for 10 trees. You know. He states climate is an important factor for certain land. Because what you need to look for is healthy soil and where moisture resides. If you have land where it's dry, it's going to take a lot longer to grow and harvest on top of that. Another one is you need. My dad has stated also a good one too. Robert Smith also stated that having good nitrogen and potassium and phosphorus, if you don't have those in your land, it becomes a lot harder to do what you got to do. To my conclusion, firstly I talked about a little bit about the cost. Not only money, but also the cost of the environment, what it can do to it. Secondly, knowing where water comes from. And secondly, and what the effects are using it with crops. The third, the fine quality of soil and what is needed for crops. I hope this information is good for you, and I hope you understand that farming is very demanding. And don't just think that the food that ends up on your plate doesn't take a process and the cost of somebody else's pocket and hard blood earned sweat. Don't think that's not taken into consideration. Thank you very much and appreciate you listening.